The first 2 weeks haven't gone according to plan for Texas Tech, really in any facet of a football game. Can that change in week 3 against several familiar faces at home at the Jones against the UNT Mean Green? In today's video, we'll preview that matchup, give you the latest Texas Tech injury report, odds, and my prediction, and much, much more. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell for 100% authentic and 100% free Texas Tech football and men's basketball content all year long right here on the most interactive and most subscribed to Texas Tech YouTube channel. And hey, I said we're interactive. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your score prediction for UNT at Texas Tech. I think I know where a lot of y'all are going to go on this. The vibes aren't too immaculate right now in Red Raider Nation when it comes to this Texas Tech football team. And there will be a little bit of a tangent in my feelings on that in this preview. But before we get into that, let me know your score prediction for the Mean Green and Red Raiders down on the pinned comment below. All right, let's set the scene a little bit for this one. It will take place at Jones AT&T Stadium out in the friendly confines of Lubbock, Texas. The 8:06 kickoff is scheduled for 11 a.m. Central Time, and you can watch this game on FS1. And best part about it, you can watch it on FS1 and be a part of, well, the largest watch party for Red Raiders on YouTube right here. So put that game on your TV screen and come hang out with us on your phone with a live interactive chat. But enough promo. Let's get to this preview. The history between the Red Raiders and UNT kind of is interesting because I don't know about you guys, but I was like, okay, you know, maybe Texas Tech, it feels like they played UNT relatively recent. No, that's not the case at all. The last time that these two teams faced off on the gridiron was back at the old Cowboy Stadium in 2001. No, not 2021, 2001. This is the first game being played out at the Jones since 2000. The series is tied all time at 4 games apiece. Now, when it comes to the injury matchups, or well, injury update, I should say, for the Red Raiders in this one, these 3 guys are out for the season as we know it right now. That is outside linebacker Dylan Spencer, outside linebacker Joseph Adedire, and the guy that is unfortunately added to that list this past week after Washington State is really, in my opinion, the linchpin of the Texas Tech offensive line and left guard Vinny Sciury due to a knee injury. Now, Joey McGuire did say that the first thing Vinny asked him to do was fill out the medical paperwork for a medical red shirt so he could come back and hopefully play next year. But it's unfortunate that the Toledo transfer will indeed miss the remainder of the 2024 season for Texas Tech. Elsewhere, out for the UNT game, you have another outside linebacker. Texas Tech really thin on the edge right now on that Tim DeRuyter defense. Charles Esters is out for this one. And then you got DB Javeon Wilcox. In terms of questionable against the Mean Green for Texas Tech, get ready because, well, I'm going to have to take a breath for this laundry list of Red Raiders that are questionable. Safety CJ Baskerville with the shoulder, Taj Brooks with an arm. You've got linebacker Vinny Sciury with a shoulder, outside linebacker Harvey Dyson with the foot, Mo Horn with a chest injury, DB Brendan Jordan with a shoulder injury, D tackle Quincy Ledette with a knee/head injury, because everything's connected, people. I shouldn't be joking about injuries, but never mind. I digress. CB corner Braylon Lux with the thigh, and then offensive tackle Sterling Porche with a head injury. Again, Texas Tech is going through it on the injury front early on. That depth is being tested. You will now see Caleb Rogers shift from the right side to the left side and be the focal point of that left guard position for Texas Tech, with Javeon Carter taking on the right guard duties moving forward. When it comes to players to watch for Texas Tech, I'm going to keep saying his name until he gives me a reason not to. It is Behren Morton. Listen, talk about a total 180 of a performance for Behren Morton from week 1 to week 2. Texas Tech, in their last 6 quarters of offense, right, have 7 scoring drives. They have 9 turnovers if you include turnovers on downs, which I think you should. A lot of that is not on Baron Morton's shoulders. I think that there's you can divvy up this pie, but if we're focusing on the player aspect of it, he's going to get the blame, and that's the nature of the quarterback position. You get the praise and you get the blame. It's just how it works, right? And from week 1 to week 2, it was a 180, as I mentioned. In week 1, I thought he had some of the best throws that we had seen him have wearing the scarlet and black. It was the complete opposite in week 2. He missed over a handful of throws where I was like, that's a basic throw to make at the Power 5 level, right? That is an expectation throw, right? An elementary type throw, if you will, for a P5 quarterback. And he missed a handful of them. It looked like he was seeing ghosts at times, right? He has to be better, and this has to be a get-right game for him going into conference play because, listen, I'm right there with you in terms of a lot of concerns, but if we're being honest about it, because this is a fact, Texas Tech's goals and aspirations are well within reach because, listen, the Big 12 outside of a couple teams looks to be wide open, right? And Texas Tech is in that mix. If they correct a couple of things and if Baron Morton gets back on track, you feel a lot better if you're the Red Raiders, but he has to do it in week 3 against UNT. Another guy I'm going to keep talking about until the coaches put him on the damn field, Micah Hudson. Do it. It is a lazy-ass excuse to say, who are we going to take off the field? He's Micah Hudson. Listen, you don't hype this guy up if you do not think he's ready to play, period. The words of Joey McGuire coming back to bite him in the ass in terms of fans being upset about not seeing Micah Hudson. He has 1 catch for 4 yards in 2 games. Joey McGuire said when he was asked this offseason at Big 12 Media Day, when do we expect to see Micah Hudson make an impact? He didn't say, halfway through the season or we'll see how it goes. He said week 1. He set the expectations, okay? Right? There is no reason that they could not be creative enough to get him on the field for at least 25 snaps per game, period. Figure it out. It is part of your job if you were Zach Kittley and Joey McGuire to get a talented player like Micah Hudson on the damn field. Is he a savior? No. And if anybody tells you differently, they're lying to you. But if you're looking at this roster and you're telling me that this offense would not be better with Micah Hudson on the damn field, you are utterly ridiculous in that claim. Okay? Get him on the damn field. Period. End of story. Enough with the damn excuses when it comes to who are we going to take off the field? We've got Josh Kelly, Caleb Douglas. We've got Coy Aiken. I like those 3 and that trio as much as anybody else, but figure it out. It's part of your job. Get his talented ass on the damn field. Rant over. All right. The Texas Tech defensive line. Screw an individual in terms of just singling a guy out here. Let's talk about the whole group for the Red Raiders. I thought they were a lot better than people gave them credit for in week number 1. That said, in week number 2, when it came to the run game, they were putrid. I mean, they allowed the Washington State quarterback to run for 200 yards, and the only reason he didn't run for 200, it was just below it, was because he need, right? But he had 197 yards. Eric Morris is the head coach for UNT. He is a Mike Leach disciple. You know that they are going to get the ball out quickly, and they are going to try and push the envelope in terms of the mesh routes, yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying that you have to go and, do these things in the sense of, okay, I need you to go out and get 7 sacks. No, I want your hands to be active, and I want you to stay in your damn rush lanes. That's what I want you to do. There is no excuse whatsoever after what happened last year for Texas Tech in the game against Kansas State where Avery Johnson ran rampant over that defense, that you cannot correct this and understand what contain means in staying in your rush lane and while setting an edge. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do both at the same time, okay? That's what you need to see. And if you get to the quarterback, by all means, great stuff there. 3+ sacks should be in the realm of possibilities. That being said, I want things to be difficult in those intermediate routes. Put your hands up and get pressure in the face of Eric Morris, quarterback, who we'll talk about here in just a second because, well, they have the same last name, no relation, but you will recognize the quarterback's name as well. But before we get into that, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. Again, turn on that notification bell, and then let me know down below who you got for this matchup between UNT and Texas Tech. We'll talk about the odds here in just a second. But before we do, Let's jump into UNT and the must-watch matchup for this one. Players to watch for UNT, Morris and Morris will be talking to each other quite a bit in this one because Eric Morris, the head coach for the UNT Mean Green, will be talking to Chandler Morris. And you may recognize the name Chandler Morris because, well, he was the starting quarterback for TCU the season that they went to the national championship game. And I should preface that by saying he was the starter to begin the year because obviously Max Duggan took over and was the quarterback for the Horned Frogs during that time. Morris, when he's on the field, is a pretty solid quarterback. The problem is he's had a bunch of injury issues, but he has thrown for 700 yards in 2 games, over 700 yards, I should say, in 2 games for the Mean Green, 7 TDs and 3 interceptions. If Tech can set the edge and contain him into the pocket and not allow him to bounce outside and have those off-scripted plays, your chances of winning increase drastically if you're the Red Raiders. Now, he has 2 targets that you need to know about because these guys are absolute bona fide stars in the American when it comes to the wide receivers in that conference. We'll start with Damian Ward Jr. Ward is one of the more dynamic wide receivers in the American, and in his first 2 games, he's shown how dynamic he is. He has 13 catches for 246 receiving yards and 2 TDs. He's averaging nearly 19 yards per catch. He is an elusive player that can take the top off of the defense, can make guys miss in the intermediate and short routes, and take a 5-6 yard pass to the crib. He can do it. Okay, and he's not the only one that the Texas Tech secondary has to know where they're at all times. The other one is DT Sheffield, another Washington State wide receiver, not Josh Kelly. DT Sheffield was a Washington State wide receiver, probably the 3rd best wide receiver on that team last year that Josh Kelly was a part of. But he, too, has 13 catches through 2 games, albeit 148 yards. He'll be more of that short intermediate guy, but he does have 3 touchdowns on the season so far. But much like Damian Ward, he may be doing things in the short and intermediate route, but he can make guys miss, and he can take one of those 5-6 yard passes to the crib. Easy, right? So you're going to have to know where these 2 guys are at all times, and the Texas Tech secondary will be truly tested. And remember, injury report up there, both of your starting corners, Mo Horn and Braylon Lux, are on that. You've got to have those guys play. Simple and plain. All right, the most watched matchup, I just talked about it. It's the secondary for Texas Tech against the UNT wide receivers because this is one of those things where I thought the secondary for Texas Tech played a lot better against Washington State, albeit in limited opportunities. But I thought they looked a lot better in terms of communication and being in the proper spot. You're going to be heavily tested against UNT. They run the ball, right? They have a running back that averages about 10.9 yards per carry. To be fair, he's only had about 18 carries this year. But they're going to throw the football around, is this Eric Morris UNT Mean Green team, right? They are going to do that. You are going to be tested. These young guys are going to have to come to play if you're Texas Tech, and they will be battle tested against one of the better quarterbacks in the American in Chandler Morris when he's healthy and 2 of the better wide receivers. That's going to be the matchup to watch. All right. The spread as it stands right now is Texas Tech minus 9.5. It actually opened up at Texas Tech minus 11.5. So a lot of people on the UNT side there. The total is set at a nice 69.5. When it comes to my prediction, I'm going to say this. I was dead ass wrong last week. Texas Tech laid an egg, not even one, multiple eggs in terms of their performance at Washington State, where I picked them to win. I'm going to pick them to win at home this week, but it's going to be a lot closer. I think Texas Tech wins by 2 scores. They should win by more. They're the more talented team, but this team is going through it right now, both on the injury front and just it feels like psychologically, right? I'm going to pick Texas Tech to win this game 44-30. I think the defense is a little bit better. They create a couple turnovers, and Texas Tech goes into Big 12 conference play 2-1 and on a relatively high note. All right. Let me know one more time your score prediction down below. Who you got for UNT coming out to the 806 for the first time in nearly a quarter century, 24 years to be exact, when they face off against your Texas Tech Red Raiders. Let me know on the pinned comment below. And one more time, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube. Listen, 100% authentic takes. I'm just like you guys. I'm a fan. I'm going to tell you how it is and how I feel. And the best part about this channel, it's 100% free and it's interactive as